Alright, so most of you guys have probably picked up on this, but Mexican cuisine and pasta are my favorite go-to foods for quick and easy lunches. But today we're blending both of these together with this cheesy, creamy, delicious taco pasta. It doesn't take long to cook, and as you guys can see, it's a relatively balanced meal. So let's jump into how to make it. The first thing we'll do is get started with cooking our pasta. Today I'm using shell pasta, but if you wanted to use rigatoni or perhaps something like macaroni pasta, those would be great pastas for this recipe as well. Just keep it bite-sized though. Long stringy pasta is not really going to work well here. Oh, and also salt your pasta water, okay? Yeah, no, seriously, for the amount of pasta we're cooking today, which is roughly 227 grams, add a teaspoon or two to your pasta water. The flavor really does add up and make a difference in the end. But once our pasta is al dente, we'll drain it and then set it off to the side until we come back to it later. Next up is our protein. So I have a skillet here set on medium-high heat that I'll hit with some oil first. Then I'm going to go in with 650 grams of 93.7 ground turkey, which I'll simply scatter over the pan here, and then hit with a few seasonings consisting of 1 to 2 teaspoons of salt, 1 teaspoon of black pepper, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, 1 teaspoon of onion powder, and then 1 to 2 teaspoons of Ancho chili powder, or less if you don't want that much chili powder, it's up to you. We'll let this cook for a couple minutes or so, and don't touch it, let it sear. If you start messing with it, you'll release the meat's juices, which will prevent any caramelization and crust. You'll more or less just start boiling the turkey at that point. And as you can see here, to help with the grounding up of the turkey, I'm using a potato masher, which is a really effective way to get those little fine bits of turkey, rather than using a spatula, for instance. In the event, once all the turkey is cooked, you can set it off to the side in a bowl or a plate. We'll add the turkey back in here in just a bit. Now you can turn the heat down to about medium or so, and then add a little oil to the pan again. We're now going to toss in our onion and bell pepper, for which I'm using 150 grams of yellow onion and 200 grams of red bell pepper today. We'll let the vegetables sear until they become soft and start to caramelize, which will take a couple minutes or so. But right before they finish, we need to add in our garlic, for which I'm using 3 cloves today. If you really like garlic, use more. If you don't, use less. It's up to you. Just make a little well in the center here before you put it in. Hit that with some oil and then let the garlic toast. And once it starts to turn a slight brown, you can go ahead and mix it all in. You definitely don't want to let it toast too much or the garlic's going to turn bitter, so be mindful of that. At this point, we can turn our heat to medium-low and add back in our cooked turkey from earlier. We're going to make a well in the center here and then add in 2 tablespoons of tomato paste, which you're going to want to let cook for a minute or two to get rid of its raw flavor. And make sure the tomato paste is in contact with the pan. Don't just put it on top of your vegetables and then mix it in and let that cook. It needs to essentially sear to get rid of that rawness, which is why I'm making a well in the center so it has direct contact with the pan. But after a couple minutes or so, we can start mixing it in with our vegetables. Alright, so once that's mixed in well, we're going to add in 250 grams of beef or chicken broth, your choice. Now what we're basically going to do here is just cover the pan and let the broth simmer until it's all absorbed by the turkey, which will take something like 5 to 10 minutes or so. Now we can go ahead and turn the heat to low, and then we're going to add a few more ingredients. First, we'll add in 70 grams of whipped cream cheese for some creaminess, a 14.5 ounce can of diced tomatoes, or petite dice, that works too. I'm going to hit my tomatoes with some salt because they absolutely need some. And then 110 grams of cheese consisting of 55 grams of mild cheddar and 55 grams of Monterrey Jack, or you can use pepper jack, which is also a solid option. But the job here is simple. We're going to mix everything together, and turns out that's pretty much it. Oh yeah, we need to add back in our pasta from earlier too. I would say that's a very important ingredient to this recipe. But after the pasta is mixed in, I think it's now time to prep our lunches. I don't think I need to explain what we need to do here. Obviously, we'll just be portioning out our pasta across our servings. I repeat what I've said in previous videos, however, for anyone new watching, which is always that you can precisely weigh out each serving if you want to make sure each one equals the other and you're consuming equal portions each day. However, if you're going to consume the whole recipe in the end anyways, it won't make much of a difference. Your caloric and macro profile per serving will average out to the same numbers that we're listing for this recipe that was at the beginning, and then we'll post here at the end. Obviously, if you're unsure if you're going to eat all of it, then maybe weighing out each serving is a better option, but don't worry about weighing everything if you're just going to eat it all in the end anyways. Here's the usual recipe and ingredient overview for the dish. And of course, feel free to swap out different seasonings and ingredients for your liking. For instance, you can always use different cheeses, although if you use more cheese, that'll change the macros a little bit, or you can use different seasonings, for instance. It's up to you. I hope you guys enjoyed the recipe. I definitely enjoyed eating it, but we'll be back with more, so stay tuned.